There's no one on this planet that will shame you for loving your mother. Mummy's boy is a grown man that is emotionally dependent on his mother to make decisions for him. And this is something you will only notice as you grow up and live your own life.
Let's discuss mama's boy. Like, have you ever dealt with a mama's boy? Those kinds of men that cannot do nothing without consulting their moms. Let's take a look at this clip.
A guy I was dating invited me to the new condo he bought, but then told me that his mother would be there. I'd been dating this guy for a few months and he wanted to take a trip together. So I said, sure, where do you want to go? And I was giving suggestions of trips that were within driving distance. So he tells me that he just bought a condo, which required us taking a flight, and asked me if I wanted to go there. I was like, are you sure? Because he hadn't even taken his other family members there. And he said, yeah, of course I'm sure. So I said, great, because the condo was located in a much warmer location. Now, during this time leading up to this trip, he kept asking me if he was my boyfriend. This was a grown man, and I was seeing him multiple times in the week. I was like, before I give the title, I want to make sure that I completely trust you, that there's reliability, that there's honesty, that there's consistency, and I'd like to see how it is that we travel together. So a week before the trip, I started feeling the feelings for him. I felt that he was my boyfriend, that he had been consistently showing me how much he respected me. He was so happy to hear it. But in the same breath, he said to me, oh so nonchalantly, I forgot to tell my mother that you were coming on the trip. He said, my mother's going to be in the condo, but was planning on coming back. But now, since she knows that I'm going, she's decided to stay. And I said, your mom is going to be in your condo? And he said, well, it's our condo. We bought it together. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Okay, no biggie. It's her condo too. So I guess we'll just plan to do something else. I started running off all the locations that I'd suggested in the beginning that were driving distance. And he said, no, I don't want to go anywhere else. So I said, oh, okay. Should we then get a hotel room or something since your mom wants to stay in the condo longer? And he said, why would we get a hotel room when I own the condo? So I was like thinking, is it your condo? Is it your mom's condo? You co-own it together? What are the rules? I don't even know. But one thing's for sure, the three of us cannot be there all at once. So I said, well, what do you want to do then? And he said, well, my mom and I discussed it, and the best thing is for you to cancel your ticket, and the two of us will go some other time. So I said, when? And he said, I don't know. So I was like, well, this doesn't seem very fair. I had made arrangements to go on vacation for those dates, and it seemed like the only person who was asked to sacrifice something was me. The only person who was going to be inconvenienced in this scenario was me. The only person who wasn't included in these discussions was me. So I asked him, I said, are you sure you don't want to go somewhere else? You don't want to talk to your mother about this? Because it's not my fault that you didn't tell her that I was going. And he said, well, it doesn't matter what I do. Someone's going to be mad at me. I'm stuck in the middle. And I said, actually, I think I'm stuck in the middle. So I said, oh, okay, I got it. So you don't want to talk to your mother about this. You don't want to be a man, an adult, and tell her straight up that you made a mistake and that this is our planned vacation and we cannot just alter it in a way that I'm simply not included anymore. That's not a solution. So I said, I don't really like the way this makes me feel. Suddenly, I don't feel respected at all. Suddenly, I don't even feel like you're my boyfriend, because I don't think a boyfriend would uninvite me, would exclude me. I brought over my phone and I said, I'm gonna cancel my ticket, but I will also cancel this relationship because this is my boundary and I don't like how any of this went down without a discussion with me. He suddenly got very upset and started complaining about how his mom is going to be so mad at him. And I said, and what about me? I'm very upset too. Be careful if you date a mama's boy, because they like to omit certain key pieces of information. They like to position themselves as being in the middle of their mother and you, when that's absolutely not the case. You're not here dividing anyone. Whatever happens is the result of actions that the man has taken. A lot of the times, mama's boys will do whatever their mother tells them, and it doesn't even matter how old the man is. This man was grown. He was a mature adult, and still he was acting as if he was a child. The bottom line is, just because the guy that you're dating has a very close relationship with his mother doesn't mean that your happiness is going to be sacrificed, is going to be compromised. It doesn't mean that you are going to be put to the side every time a conflict arises. Because at the end of the day, you come first. Your feelings come first. And if a man is always going to say that his mom comes first and that you just need to deal with it and suck it up, trust me, the relationship is not going to go well. If you tolerate it once, it's going to constantly happen. It's going to be a pattern.
To me, there is not supposed to be a situation where you have to choose between your mom and your girlfriend, your woman as a man. Like, once a man puts you in that position where it's either you or his mom, you need to choose yourself and run away from that situation, because I tell you, you are dealing with a mama's boy. Now, this mama's boy thing, I don't know. Some women may not think it's a problem, but personally, I've dated a mama's boy, and I had to run. Like, I had to leave that situation. Like, it was a very short-lived relationship. But immediately I saw what I saw, I just felt irritated, and I had to cut that relationship off. Like, you needed to see how a man, a grown-up man, a 34-year-old man was relating with his mother. I could see that there was no boundary. His mom was literally the one telling him what to do. Everything, like all our discussions were circling around his mom, or his mom, if his mom is going to like it or not. Everything he was talking about, the projects he had, everything was, his mom was very much involved in his life. I'm not saying it's wrong to seek advice from your mom or have a good relationship from your mom. There's a point it gets to, and no, this is just not respect, and a son and a mom being very close and being involved in each other's life. Like, this is something, like, this is a situation of a man that cannot embrace his adulthood and live his life without the help of his mom, without the immersement of his mom in his life and his business. And as a woman, if you're involved in this kind of situation, if you're involved with this kind of man that his mom makes decisions for him, his mom has to approve of any girl that comes into his life, his mom is literally controlling his life and at the center of his life, you're going to suffer and you're going to be abused in that kind of relationship. You're going to be caught up in between both. And you're going to be at the receiving end at the end of the day, because he's going to choose his mom at the end of the day over you, no matter what happens. Even if his mom is wrong, he's going to choose his mom over you. I don't know if any of you have experienced these kind of boy moms and this kind of men. Feel free to share your stories down below in the comment section.
Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my boyfriend because he's a mama's boy? I, 28 female, recently broke up with my boyfriend, 30 male, because of his relationship with his mom. At first, I thought it was sweet how close they were, but over time, it started to really bother me. For context, his mom is really involved in his life. She still does things for him. In my opinion, a grown man should be handling himself. For example, when she visits, she'll cut his steak for him and put the fork in his mouth, wash his underwear, run a bath for him, and help him wash his hair and tuck him into bed for naps. When she's around, he completely reverts into a child. He stops flushing the toilet, doesn't clean up after himself, and just acts like he's 8 years old. It's like all the maturity and independence I fell for just disappears. I tried to talk to him about it, how comfortable it made me. I explained that while I respect his love for his mom, I think there should be some boundaries. He brushed it off, saying I was overreacting and that this was just how they always been. The final straw was when she stayed over for a weekend and expected me to cater to her the way she caters to him. I'm talking cleaning up after the both of them, cooking all the meals, and even joining on their bizarre nap routine. I felt like I was a third wheel in my own relationship. After that, I told him I couldn't do this anymore and I ended things. He was shocked and said I was jealous of his mom and just didn't understand their bond. His mom, of course, called me ungrateful and immature. Now I'm left wondering, did I overreact? I didn't want to make him choose between me and his mom, but I also couldn't see myself in a relationship where I felt like the side character to their own dynamic.
Words of advice. Never date a mama's boy. I'm telling y'all. You'll regret it. I know you will. Because I dated one for like 3 months. It was not long at all. But it was so stupid. Like, the guy did absolutely nothing nice for me at all. And I'm like positive that his mom was like just telling him to like never go out of his way or do anything like special for me or any girl in general, because he was literally obsessed with his mom. They did like everything together, and you know, she just wanted him for herself. We never even went out on like nice dates or anything. The only time he would invite me out, it was to like benefit him. So we would like go to the gym because he was really into working out. One time I like went with him to the vet to like pick up his dog. Like, that was his idea of a date. We never went anywhere nice. He never did a single thing for me because his mom would literally tell him like not to go out of his way. Don't spend money on girls or even go out to dinner with a girl. Like, and I love a guy who loves his mom and like respects her, appreciates her. My boyfriend now loves his mom and would do anything for her. But like, he has his own opinions and own thoughts on life. Like, he doesn't listen to every single thing she tells him, you know? Like, I can't deal with that. This guy could have been on this show, Mama's Boy, or whatever it's called.
Never mess with a mama's boy. And let me tell you why. The many ex-boyfriends that I've had, I've only dated 2 mama's boys. Why I made the same mistake twice, I have no fucking clue. But there is a clear difference between men who love their mom and men who are in love with their mom. One of my ex-boyfriends was like in love with his mom, like an unhealthy amount of in love. I'd sleep in his mother's bed with him sometimes at night. I know what you're thinking, Faith, why did you date him if you knew this? Obviously, I'm not dating him anymore. I didn't know this when I first started dating him. His mom and him would sleep in the same bed together, and they would like converse and like cuddle and stuff like that, and it was just really weird. But this man conned me because the first month we were dating, none of this happened. But after the free trial was up, then everything started happening. He would ask his mom on dates with us. Every date, he would call his mom.
Here's the thing, most of these boy moms, they don't view their sons, as their children. They view their sons as their emotional supports. A clear example of emotional incest. A mom that is not that's not able to differentiate between a son and a partner. The picture being painted here is a mom that has not allowed her son to properly grow up as a full-grown man and be responsible for his life. She's excusing his behavior, and she has groomed him and raised him to be totally dependent on her. She's not raising him to be an independent man. She's not raising him to be a grown-up, to be dependent on himself, to do stuff for himself. She is raising him to be dependent on her forever. I say this is a result of those boy moms, those toxic boy moms who never let their children to be children, who think their kids, their sons were made for them. They see their sons the way you're supposed to see a romantic partner. And this is why they would never raise their sons to be grown-up men. They don't raise their sons for society. They don't raise them to be independent adults. They don't raise them to have a life outside of them.
I'm the daughter of a boy mom, and here's why it sucks. Did you know that my 35-year-old brother does not do his own laundry? In fact, he takes 2 baskets of laundry to my mother and grandmother's house every other week, and they do his laundry for him. You want to know how out of touch my mother and my brother are with the reality that my sister and I have kids? For Christmas, they wanted to go to the casino. Who the fuck goes to the casino when you have kids on Christmas? But of course, you know, my mother and brother can live this lavish lifestyle in their minds because they don't have the same responsibilities. Now, my mom has all her kids are grown. She had us around 18 or 19 years old. My brother doesn't even have custody of his kids. So I'm trying to fathom, compute in my mind why you thought going to the casino on Christmas was a good idea. So these are just the chronicles of a woman who's been raised by a boy mom.
Ladies, riddle me this before my stories go out. Would you rather be dealing with a grown man child, or would you rather deal with a grown mama's boy? You have to pick. You cannot say neither. You cannot die. Didn't think it was the difference, but trust me, There's a difference. Dated a grown man child. I've dated a mama's boy. I've dated one that was a grown man child and a mama's boy put together. We all know what a mama's boy is. Dude, you start talking to them, they used to their mama washing their clothes, drying their clothes, fixing their food, filling out job applications for them. Used to their parents doing everything for them, dealing with their bank accounts and doing this and putting this in her name and putting your car in her name. And either he can't be cool with both of y'all at the same time. It's either you and him or him and his mama. Now a man child is different. They could be close to their mom, but they not a mama's boy. They not, let me call my mommy. Let me see if my mommy can do this for me. They're not on their mom's. A man child, they mom probably just finished breastfeeding them, but a mama's boy, they still connected. I think I would prefer a mama's boy over a man child. A man child is somebody, if something don't go their way, they throw a fit. They broke, it's somebody else's fault. They lost their job, it's somebody else's fault. And they're always mad. Their birthday come up and don't nobody throw them a surprise party, they are pissed. Nobody did nothing for me. Nobody did nothing for me. You're 28. Do it for yourself. When I turned 24 last November, I knew I didn't have nobody. I took some money out. I took myself to the mall. I got me a hotel room. I got drunk and I did all of this alone. You're mad because nobody balled out on you for your birthday? You're 28 years old. Grow up.
A mama's boy, walking red flag. A man who has a good relationship with his mother, walking green flag. There is a huge difference from a mama's boy and a man who gets along with his mother. A mama's boy ain't nothing but a big ass bitch. He's always gonna ask for his mom's input when you guys have a problem, and he's always gonna choose what she says over what you say. Your opinions are going to be automatically diminished, and he's not even going to take them into consideration because of how important his mom is. And don't get me wrong, a man's mother should be important and she plays a huge role in his life. I know that 100%. But your mother does not come before your woman. Apart from the mama's boy being a big ass bitch, the mom is always on some weird ass shit. Boy moms tend to be super weird about their sons. I've had cousins and friends who, when they finally got with a woman, they were mama's boys, they finally got with a woman, their mom felt like this woman was taking her little prince away. What do you mean her little prince? This motherfucker is 34 years old. He ain't no little prince. Any argument that you have with a man who's a mama's boy, he's gonna go straight to his mom about it. And the worst part of it all is he will not defend you. His mom could be talking all kinds of shit behind your back, and he will not stick up for you. A good and a decent man who has a good relationship with his mother, he'll check his mom every now and then when he needs to, because he is going to be protective of you. Mama's boys, they're never protective of you, and they're always going to put their mom before you, even in situations of arguments, heated discussions, disagreements, family problems, whatever the hell it is. Aside from that, a mama's boy is going to expect you to be just like his mom, the way you cook, the way you clean. He's going to compare every single thing that you do to the way his mom did it. Oedipus complex? Perhaps. In all reality, in some cases, a mama's boy isn't even looking for an actual partner. He's looking for a motherly figure to fill in that parental role that his mother is no longer filling in because he no longer lives with her. And the fault is twofold. There are two parties here at fault. One of them is the mother for being responsible in enabling that behavior during his upbringing as a child in his teenage years. Secondarily, the second person at fault is the man for not taking accountability for the things he has to take accountability for and realizing that he is a grown man, not a child anymore. Mothers create mama's boys during the stage of a boy's upbringing in his childhood, but it is a man's job to unpack all that shit and stop being a mama's boy because he is now a grown man.
I think one of the biggest red flags when you're looking to get married to someone is marrying a mummy's boy, and I'm going to explain that. So if you're new here, my name's Shamia. I've been married for 7 years. So the one type of man that I would never have married is a mummy's boy, because why would I attach someone who's still attached to the umbilical cord? Like, that just causes so many issues, and there shouldn't be a third person in the relationship. And I find that with mummy's boys, they can't understand that they have to stop putting their mum first, and they might have to put their wife first and their family first. And I'm very much of the idea that once you get married and you start to build your own family, like, that's your immediate family, and like, no offense, but your parents and your siblings become your extended family. And so when you marry a man who's a mummy's boy, he's more likely going to find it difficult to put you first, or to put your kids first above his own parents. Obviously we should all take care of our parents, but I find that mummy's boys are normally quite coddled. They don't know how to do things for themselves. They can't put their plate in the dishwasher. they can't go to the toilet without asking their mum. Like, why would you ever want to marry a man like that? I think it's important that you marry a man who has good relationships with his mum and his sisters and the women in his family, but I find mummy's boy is such a red flag. That's been my experience. And
I would say one of the dangers, if not the major dangers of being with a mommy's boy, is that he's going to expect you to fill in the space of his mom in his life. His mom would have been doing everything for him. You know, he would expect you to cook for him, clean for him, because he would not be capable of doing those things for himself. He would expect you to do major organizations in his life, to be a mom, to be a second mommy in his life, because most of them are physically incapable of taking care of themselves. Why? Because their moms raised them that way. They don't know how to do stuff for themselves. So it's a lot of work. And it's not like he's going to put you as first place in his life. No, his mom is still going to have the first place. He's still going to choose his mom over you. Why? Because these so-called boy moms, they do not teach their sons to be independent. They did not raise their sons to live an independent life outside of them. So they raised their sons to be totally dependent on them, to always have them in their corner, not in a good way, but to be always dependent on them. I don't get how a mom would be comfortable competing with their son's romantic partner. Like, do you want to sleep with your child? Can you fulfill that part? At the end of the day, the role of a mom is very, very different from a romantic partner's. Some of them are scared that, oh, he's going to leave you. I mean, did another woman not leave their son to you? Well, you're depriving your son of a mother figure in his life. It's a sad thing that happens in our society, but like, it happens, and it's not right. It's not right in any way. So ladies, be careful. When a man is too overly involved with his mom, depends on his mom for major decision making in his life, run away. You're dealing with a mommy's boy. You're dealing with a mama's boy who is still immature and can't make decisions for himself at the end of the day.
Get ready with me while I talk about how I dated the biggest mama's boy. I'm just gonna list some of the things that he did and I stayed. I also want to mention that this guy was super old, not like geriatric, but he was much older. He would sleep in his mom's bed from time to time. She would go to all of his doctor's appointments with him. She had access to his bank account, so anytime he made a purchase, she would get a notification on her phone, which made it super awkward because obviously he would buy me things and she would know immediately. He insisted that our first child should be named directly after her. He would only buy cars in her favorite color. Anytime me and him had an argument, he would instantly go to his mom and tell her about it. When I tell you guys about this situation, now this situation was what made me realize that I wasn't just dealing with a mama's boy. I was dealing with like mental illness. Before we talk about this, I gotta spray my face. This is the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Setting Spray. I love this stuff. Basically, we were in his car and we were literally talking about coffee. And he was talking about how his mom's favorite coffee was Starbucks. And I was like, oh, cool. My favorite coffee is Tim Hortons. I'm fucking Canadian. Of course, my favorite coffee is Tim Hortons. And then he was like, yeah, I know, but now we have to just like Starbucks. This is my mom's favorite. And I was like, I like Tim Hortons. And he was like, no, but you don't understand, like my mom likes Starbucks. Then I kind of was just like, well, I don't care if your mom likes Starbucks. I like Tim Hortons. This man screamed, how dare you say that you don't care about my mother? Don't you ever talk like that about her again. All I said was, I don't agree with her coffee choices. I thought he was gonna leave me at the side of the road. At that moment, I knew that I was dealing with something like a lot deeper. But I still stayed. But I was so young and I was so stupid, so I honestly give myself grace. It was only after I started seeing guys that had normal relationships with their mothers, I realized that was just not normal. Really, anyways, there's no beef. If you're a guy and you have that kind of relationship with your mom, go off, king. You guys were made for each other. If you're a girl and you're in that situation, babes, run.
Mama's boy comes from a mother who is co-regulating with the child.
Literally, the most dangerous men on the planet are men with attachment issues. We all agree with that. Men who have a seriously horrible relationship with their mother. But then you meet a guy and be like, wow, he loves his mom. She loves him. He must be safe, right? Wrong. A codependent mother, the good girl mother who uses her child to have a sense of purpose, who uses her son to regulate her own emotions, who uses her son from a very young age to fill the gap, a void from an absent or abusive partner. This kind of man will ruin your life. This man doesn't know who he is. He was never allowed to have his own thoughts, have his own feelings.
understand the concept of boundaries for respect because he never got his basic emotional needs met. He was never cared for. He had to care for others, especially his mother. The resentment towards his mother that he cannot express will only direct towards you. The more you try to love him to fix him, the more contemptuous he becomes towards you. Then it gets way worse. He will partner with his mother, who will be competing with you, creating an even deeper sense of solidarity with her, tag teaming with her, giving him a common sense of purpose with his mother, in an attempt to fix all the resentment that he has towards his mother projected towards.
I want to add that these mama's boys are victims of their mothers. Because these women are just manipulative parents who raise their sons to continuously, forever cater to their needs. Like, what else is manipulation? That is the height of that is manipulation. You're raising a human being not to have autonomy and not to see the world through his own lens and make decisions for himself. You're literally raising a child, a young human, to cater to your needs always, to always love what you love, to not have a mind of his own. So that's manipulation, I would say. These boys are victims of their moms. And it's so troubling. I pity for them, honestly, because they are the victims here. Because the moms are the adults. And it gets more difficult as you move on into adulthood because most of them would never snap out of it. They would forever think it's the right thing to always put their moms first in everything they do. In their decision making, they would think it's normal to always seek their mom's opinion and do exactly what mom says all the time. They would never discover that this is manipulation. No. At some point, I have to be in charge of my life. They would never say it that way. And even when someone tries to try to help them and see that this is control, not love, they would never get it because, of course, they've been manipulated for such a long time. Yeah, because a woman that would not let her son be independent or grow and be a man of his own, that's emotional abuse. You indoctrinate and you teach a boy to always put your needs first and not his needs, not his woman's need in the future. That's manipulation. He's a victim and you're being manipulative.
Never ever date a mummy's boy. Somebody messaged me and told me that she's been in a relationship with her man for about 2 years now and he is such a mummy's boy to the point that it is ruining her relationship. This man's mum does absolutely everything for him, from cooking, cleaning, planning his meals, changing his bed sheets, doing all his laundry, till planning what outfit he's gonna wear the next day, also telling him where to go, what not to do, what to do with his girlfriend, what not to do, when he can see his girlfriend. Like, this mum is literally controlling this man's life and he is happily letting her do it. I don't know which culture this man is from, but it got me thinking. I'm half Turkish Cypriot and half Pakistani, and I have seen not all of them, but so many Asian men and so many Turkish men are such big mummy's boys. I do believe it hugely is upon the culture and the way that these guys were raised, literally able to get away with anything. Their mums always picking up after them, giving excuses for them. And meanwhile, the girls are there to be cleaning, cooking, cleaning, taking over the house chores, can barely get away with anything. Like, there is a massive contrast. At the end of the day, when you're in a relationship with somebody, it is between you and that person. Your business is between you and your partner. There should be nobody, no second party person, no friends, no family interjecting in your relationship, making decisions in your relationship when it should only be between you and your partner. And let's say even if your mother-in-law takes a step back, right? But then your partner is going to then expect you psychologically to play the role of his mum, since his mum has always been picking up after him, going to be expecting you to cook, to clean, and to basically be your maid, when at the end of the day, you're not his maid, you're his equal. Don't get me wrong, respect your mum, treasure your mum. Your mum has sacrificed so much for you, but there is a fine line between your partner and your mum. There are whole different types of relationships. So if you're dating somebody and you tell him time and time again and he just doesn't get it and he thinks you're the crazy one and you're just being dramatic, dump him, throw him in the bin. It is not worth it. It's not worth a lifetime of stress and hassle.
Here are some signs to look out for to see if a man is in an emotionally toxic relationship with his mother, because this happens so often. Boy moms are something else. Now, before I get started, I do want to say having a good relationship with your mom, green flag. We love that. Talking to her every day on the phone, fine, that's fine. But if she has a say in every single decision that you make and you can't be a grown-up, that's a problem. So let's get into some of the signs. Sign number 1. He compares everything you do to what she does. My mom folds towels differently than you. My mom makes steak differently than you. My mom would have never raised her voice at me. Okay, Chris, go home to your mom. Like, what are we doing here? Why is she even a part of the conversation? Sign number 2, he tells his mom all your private business. Like, why does your mom know we just got into a heated discussion about something? Why does she know my salary and that I just changed birth control last week? Like, this is not a group chat about our relationship with the 3 of us, okay? It's a no for me. Number 3, he can't make a single decision without consulting her. Where to go on vacation? Let me ask my mom. What side of town should we live on? Well, my mom says that this isn't very convenient. At this point, just marry your mom. It's weird. Like, you should have your own opinions and abilities to make decisions independently. And the biggest sign to me, his mom is weirdly competitive with you. Like, sizes you up at dinner, always tries to one-up everything you say. You try to compliment him and she jumps in with like, well, I've always been his number 1 girl. Your honor, incestuous. Ugh. And yes, I've seen this many times. Brenda, this is not a competition. He's your son and my man, totally different roles. It's okay to let go of that a little.
Don't forget to leave your comments down below in the comment section. Ladies, we heard it all. It's so easy to spot a mama's boy. Once you see a man who is not reliant on himself, who seeks out his mom on everything and every major decision, not just major decisions, like the most minute things. If a man has not learned to be a grown-ass man, has not learned to depend on himself and still depends solely 100% on his mom, run. That kind of man is not ready for a relationship. If a man does not know the difference between a romantic partner and his mom, that man is not ready to be in a relationship. As a matter of fact, if you get into that kind of relationship, you're going to end up being the third party. You're going to end up being in second place at all times. He's always going to choose his mom first before he chooses you. And on that note, we've come to the end of this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you love content like this. And don't forget to like this video in case you found this educating, interesting in whatsoever way. And we've come to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I remain your girl, Joy. And I will see you in my next video. Have a blessed day. Bye.